It's
Let's
now
ride.
time for the words that are recited before each and every game here at Dodger Stadium. Take it away, Finn.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
What's going on, Dodgers fans? Thank you for listening to the first off-season episode of the Incline Dodgers podcast. Yeah, we're all bummed that we're talking about the off-season and not the World Series that I guess is starting in a day. I'm not even following baseball at this point because all I care about is your Los Angeles Dodgers. And we have a number of questions from the listeners today, so thank you very much. We're going to talk about some free agent rumors that are already popping up, maybe some trade scenarios, and then we're going to reflect back and hand out some grades to individual Dodgers players and give some thoughts how we felt they did. So wanted to kick the show off with this first question because it is pretty relevant. And it comes from Roscoe94. Do you think the Dodgers are serious players for Aaron Judge? Jake Reiner, I will pass that over to you.
Well, it certainly seems like they're going to be interested in Aaron Judge, if you believe the preliminary reports, although I don't really know how well I trust that, because when it comes to Andrew Friedman and all those guys, they don't typically leak anything. So I don't know if that was just a kind of a play by Aaron Judge's representatives or whatever the case is. But yeah, if there's a big name free agent out there, of course the Dodgers are at least going to kick the tires on Aaron Judge. Although I did see another report that said that San Francisco, no matter what, will not be outbid by the Yankees, and it won't be because they didn't pony up enough money if they don't end up getting Aaron Judge. So that's something to consider. But honestly, I don't know if I really, I know this is crazy, but I don't even know if I really want Aaron Judge. I just have not really seen much from him in the postseason. Especially this past postseason was pretty horrendous. And yeah, David called it. It was like, that was the Yankees offense. Basically, that was it. If he's not performing, then they're not going to perform. And that's why they got swept by Houston. So I don't know if we really would want to add another superstar of that level that can't really perform in the postseason. I don't know. I don't love it. But obviously, if they get him, I mean, you know, what's not to like about having Aaron Judge on your team? But at first glance, I'm not loving it.
I'm not buying the Aaron Judge to Los Angeles rumors one bit. Like you kind of said, they'll check in on every big name free agent out there, and they definitely need outfield help. We can talk about some other avenues in a little bit, but I think the asking price on what Aaron Judge is going to demand is just too high. And I actually do believe that these Giants rumors are for real. And I think he is going to be in the NL West and be wearing a San Francisco Giants uniform. I feel like the Yankees have been kind of cowards with paying what he wanted, and they kind of risked it for the biscuit, and he ended up upping his value probably $100 million. So that's where I stand. I think I'm good on the Aaron Judge rumors. I don't think he's a great postseason performer either. And the 62 home runs in Yankee Stadium, that's probably peak Aaron Judge right there, because Dodger Stadium is a much different ballpark than Yankee Stadium. So that's where I stand. I don't know about you, David Rosenthal.
Yeah, so I agree with both of you. I don't buy these rumors as serious. I think the Dodgers will absolutely do their due diligence, as they always do when any superstar hits the market. They will always check in on them and see what the deal is. But no, this is, you know, I agree with what Kevin just said a lot. I don't think you're going to see Aaron Judge have a season like this ever again in his career. He's a talented player. He has had trouble staying on the field, but I think this is absolutely peak Aaron Judge. I'm not too into believing in postseason stats per se, but if you look at his, they're really, really bad. And again, I don't know which one of you just said it, but the Dodgers don't need another superstar. They don't. They need depth. They need proven hitters, and they need a couple arms. They have enough firepower at the top. With or without Trey Turner, Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, that's enough to build around. So I don't think it's legit. If they want to throw an insane, 2-year, $120 million offer at him, sure. But, I don't think they're going to go the lengths that the Yankees and the Giants are going to go to. But I think the Yankees played themselves. I think they have no choice but to sign him, and I think he stays.
I just don't think that the Dodgers need to do anything drastic or overcorrect in any way to make this team better, because they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, they're built for the long haul. They will make the playoffs one way or the other, whether it's by winning the division or getting in on this new wild card format. They will make the playoffs. So that's not the issue. The issue is what we've seen every October, is that for whatever reason, the offense just dies. And it's been that way the past 2 seasons. And we've seen kind of two avenues that this Dodgers team has gone down. The first one in 2021, where it was a dogfight till the end between the Dodgers and the Giants. They were absolutely gassed, and that was sort of the excuse as to why they kind of fell flat in the NLCS. This year, they coasted to an 111 win season. They got a bye in the wild card round. They had 5 extra days off. So they should have been well rested, obviously, and they still couldn't. So I don't know what it's going to take, but I just don't think adding Aaron Judge is going to all of a sudden push them over the top of where they currently are.
If you put stock into what Jerry Hairston was preaching just the other day, he claims that the Dodgers don't make in-game adjustments and they stick to one game plan no matter what. So basically what pitchers were doing against the Dodgers, because there were a million scouts at all the September Dodgers games, apparently, they just do a reverse pitch of how they would attack them in the regular season. So if they throw a lot of fastballs during the regular season, then they do a lot of secondary pitches. I don't know how much stock you can put into that, but if that is the case, that's bad coaching right there, because why should the Dodgers have one style of game plan in the postseason? That's how you get exploited.
I know. And I wanted to bring that up too. I don't understand if that is to be believed, that they don't make in-game adjustments. What's going on? Like, these guys are, the Dodgers are one of the smartest, if not the smartest organization in all of baseball in terms of their analytics and the numbers that they use, and everything is game planned out and all of that. I don't understand when you obviously see something is not working. Why are you saying, oh, well, it'll work out eventually because this was our plan in the regular season and it worked out then? I don't get it. You got to make adjustments. You most certainly have to. I mean, if the opposing team is making adjustments against you, then you have to counter that somehow. And I don't know, that doesn't make me feel very good that is what happened in the playoffs.
Isn't baseball one of the most coinage terms? Baseball is a game of adjustments.
Allegedly,
yeah.
We don't know if that's the case or not. I tend to not buy that.
Why?
Because of what you just said. Everything you just said is your own argument for that. That's not happening. The Dodgers are one of the smartest organizations in baseball. You think if they're, shitting their pants for the first 4 innings, then they're not going to realize that their initial game plan is off and they're not going to attempt to adjust it? Come on.
Well, then how do you explain it?
Explain what?
Explain the fact that they weren't able to beat the freaking Padres. That was not a team that they should have struggled.
Because they didn't hit with runners in scoring position. That's it.
I felt that during the regular season, they did an excellent job of moving runners over, not swinging for the fences.
They moved runners over. They just didn't bring them in.
Well, they moved runners over, manufactured runs during the regular season all year. Why was that any different?
Here, I'll tell you why. Because all year you have 162 game sample size. Now, you didn't count that stretch in Pittsburgh, did you, in this argument right now? Remember when they got swept by Pittsburgh? They couldn't do anything with runners in scoring position, let alone anything. That was in the regular season. That's what happened in the playoffs. They had one of those stretches at the worst possible time. That's it. It's that simple. As an overall body of work during the regular season, yeah, they were awesome with runners in scoring position. But the benefit of that is you have 162 games to form your opinion and your memory of the Dodgers offense, when in a 5-game series, 4-game series in this case, you don't.
So basically, I'm going to counter that though, because the Dodgers played the Pirates in like May and June. They didn't even really hit their stride at that point in the season. And
all right, well, I mean,
if those games were really do or die, do we think the Pirates actually win those games? I highly doubt it, because
I do.
I don't even think Kershaw was pitching.
So your argument is that they just went cold at the worst time. That's it. That's the explanation.
Yes.
That's not good enough for me.
It's not good enough for me either, but that's the reality and that's the truth. There's no other explanation. They didn't just abandon everything they know and just go rogue and just have it not work out. They went cold. They went ice cold.
Well, I think that's the initial problem, is that the Dodgers had one style of game plan allegedly, and so when it got exploited, they didn't have a way to pivot and make adjustments.
Well, that's a fair argument. If you're going to make that and you're going to, go with that, then yeah, that's a fair argument. But the general failure was they went cold.
They did. It's the worst upset in Dodgers history. And
it was horrific to watch because we all knew that was the Achilles heel. We all knew it. We all called it. And to watch it play out the way that we feared that it could was just pathetic.
It's funny because there's actually a good question or comment from Montant24, who also agrees we don't need superstars. We need our superstars to perform.
Yep.
He would say in the offseason, all we need is starting pitching and a shortstop. I'm going to disagree with the shortstop. I don't think we necessarily need a shortstop. I think the Dodgers need outfield help more than any position player right now. And I'll make the case why. We had Mookie Betts. That's it. And he went ice cold. Chris Taylor didn't show up. Cody Bellinger didn't show up. Trace Thompson didn't really show up. Joey Gallo didn't even play. So we had one right fielder and then two automatic outs in center and left field. So I really need to see the Dodgers. Hopefully, James Outman can make the adjustments, become an everyday major league player. Maybe that fills one hole, but they still need another outfielder. I don't think Chris Taylor at this point, you can trust him to be an everyday player. So I think left field, I could talk about it a little later. I think they need to sign a left fielder or trade for one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like his initial point of we don't need superstars. We need the superstars to perform.
Great line.
Which is actually exactly what the Dodgers need in the playoffs. But I'm with Kevin. I think they need at least one outfielder from free agency, whether that be center or left. I don't think it matters. But they do need some outfield help. Gallo's going to be gone. So that opens up a spot. Outman, I would love to see get an opportunity to win a job. But I think you need at least one other outfielder to put on the roster for sure.
Yeah, they're going to need two, to be honest.
I don't think so. Well, it depends if Cody Bellinger stays or goes.
I think he's gone. I think Trace Thompson is also, I think he caught lightning in a bottle. He really fell off in September and the postseason. I would not bank on him to be a reliable player next season.
I don't think they will.
Yeah, so we need help. Another question coming from Rolo H88. Which Dodgers free agents are likely not coming back? I feel like we talked about this last episode, but we know Joey Gallo likely gone. Hanser Alberto's technically not a free agent, but he has a team option. Horrendous, complete ass. He's gone. Obviously the big one, Trey Turner, I want to save him for last. Tyler Anderson, going to be paid big time. He should be allowed to come back. I guarantee the Dodgers will throw him like that $20 million qualifying offer. Maybe he accepts it. Andrew Heaney is a good fallback candidate to plug in at the back end of your rotation. And then obviously Clayton Kershaw, free agent, makes it pretty apparent that he's going to come back for at least one more season. He's showing no signs of slowing down. Just the big question of, does he want to continue to live in Los Angeles? Or
there's no question, Kevin. We've been over this. If he's coming back, it's in a Dodgers uniform.
Hopefully. There's
Arlington and Dallas ain't going anywhere. He can move there when he's done.
Let's hope.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would love to bring back Kershaw. I would love to bring back Tyler Anderson. I think Gallo and Alberto, two of the homies. I don't think they're coming back. But I think there's an interesting point there in terms of starting pitching, because I don't believe that starting pitching obviously was not a big factor as to why the Dodgers got, taken out by the Padres. But I do believe that we need to find some more depth and some more workhorses that can go deeper into games, because once you get to the postseason, if your starting pitcher is going 5 innings or even 6 innings, the margin for error is it gets smaller when you keep running out relievers after reliever after reliever.
Oh, yeah.
You're
seen
gonna
it since 2017.
You're gonna get a Tommy Kahnle in the worst spot when he pitches his absolute worst. You're gonna get that because it's a Russian roulette when you're bringing guys out of the pen, there are only a select few guys that guaranteed, i.e. Evan Phillips, that's going to get the job done every single time. But if you have a starter that goes deeper into games, and if Dave Roberts can trust his starter a little bit more, I think both things need to happen. They need to find guys that can go deeper into games. Obviously, Kershaw could have gone deeper. Urias, not really that much. Tyler Anderson definitely could have gone longer than he did. But those guys need to go deeper into games, because you don't want to have a situation where you need to rely on a ton of relievers to come in, because chances are one of them is going to have an off night at the worst possible time. And that's what happened.
Yeah. So I'm going to say that the Dodgers absolutely need to bring Tyler Anderson back. I mean, even if you get Bobby Miller, Dustin May, Gavin Stone opportunities, they've proven the last 2 seasons you can never have enough starting pitching. You can't put yourself in a situation for the 3rd straight year in the NLDS or NLCS where you have to basically throw a bullpen game because your only starter is on a 40 pitch count and can't even get through the 1st inning. So what they need to do is they need to bring Tyler Anderson back, give him the qualifying offer. If he wants another year, tack it on. They have plenty of money coming off the books. And then you're going to have to give those 3 guys a legitimate shot. We know Dustin May is going to be pretty much a lock, but Bobby Miller and Gavin Stone. I would not be surprised to see Jacob deGrom pitching for the Dodgers next season either. He is a team option for $30 million. He's almost certainly going to decline to get a longer contract. And the last thing I'll say, another thing I would not be surprised to see Tony Gonsolin pitching for another team. I think they could capitalize on his first half, his best season in baseball, trade him for an outfielder or for a bat, and find pitching elsewhere, because he was great in the first half, but I don't think his value is going to get any higher. And I think they could capitalize and put together some assets to get a legit outfielder or second base or shortstop or whatever you need to get. And get pitching help elsewhere.
He also can't stay on the field, which is a huge issue. It wasn't even this past year that he couldn't stay on the field, but in 2020 he couldn't stay on the field, and 21 I can't even remember if he pitched. They need guys that are a little more reliable.
That's like their entire rotation minus Urias. So I don't know what to say.
No, that's what we're saying is you got to pack that starting rotation as much as possible.
I'm saying, like, most of the league, it's very hard to find very few durable guys. So you could trade Gonsolin, sure, but Dustin May can't stay healthy. Clayton Kershaw can't stay healthy.
Dustin May had a freak injury.
He had Tommy John surgery. Then he hurt his back, which didn't allow him to pitch.
Coming off Tommy John surgery. Next year, he's going to be good to go.
You can say that all you want, but so far in his career, he has not proven that he's been healthy. I think he also went on the IL in his rookie year, 2020. Didn't he have a hamstring issue? I think so. But back to the Dodgers pitching issues. What I need to see them do in the offseason is find a guy that can guarantee at least 6 or 7 innings in the postseason.
Not many of those anymore.
I can't remember.
That was Tyler Anderson. That was my point.
Well, they didn't let him go that, and they didn't trust him. So they need to find someone they trust. And I can't.
How do you not trust? If you can't trust Tyler Anderson?
Dave Roberts is the manager, so you got to find someone Dave trusts. I'm sorry, we can trust him all he wants, but it's Dave Roberts' team. So Andrew Freeman gave him the job. So my point is, I can't remember the stat off the top of my head, but it's got to be like 80 something postseason games. And I think we're still in single digits for Dodgers starters that went into the 6th inning or threw over 100 pitches. It's something absolutely wild like that. So we did have a question from Young Jeremy 18, and it was about Jacob deGrom. I'm on board with paying this guy. I don't care if he has issues staying healthy. He is the best pitcher on planet Earth still. And even in the postseason against the Padres, I think he threw 6 solid innings, gave up maybe 2 runs, 8 strikeouts.
It's the only game they won.
It's the only game they won. If the Dodgers want to pay him a 3-year, $40 million-ish AAV, something slightly better than what they gave Trevor Bauer, sign me up, because they need that guy. That's why I wanted them to sign Trevor Bauer in the first place, because I wanted that guaranteed guy to give them 6 to 8 innings every time out, throw 100 pitches, say, I got this. I can give you 120 if needed, empty the tank. Obviously, Bauer's an asshole, so that didn't work out. And then Scherzer was kind of that guy until he decided to quit. But next man up, Jacob deGrom. So if the numbers make sense and the years make sense, let's go. I'm on board. Okay. Let's see. Castillo, Jason, also insight on Dodgers starting rotation, lack of urgency in the playoffs, especially manufacturing runs. Feel like we hit all those points. I want to see them add guys that can manufacture runs. If you can get the sack,
just make
flies,
contact.
at least put the ball in play.
Exactly.
It was absurd. To Roscoe 94. So the other free agent who I wanted to save last on purpose was Trey Turner. We've been talking about him all year. Looks like he's set up for an obvious big payday. I think we've had some differing views on what he'll get. I still think he's a $300 million shortstop. And personally, gonna just reiterate, I do not want the Dodgers to pay him. I think it's time to move on. I warned everyone early on in the season, he's not a good defender, and his defense really cost the Dodgers big time in the postseason. Hitting
Did it though?
Yes.
Yeah, it did.
It did.
I don't think it did.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
Do you remember game 2, David?
I do, but that didn't lead to anything.
Yes, it did.
Remind me.
Bruce Dargrador was on the mound, right, Kevin?
Yes.
Right. And that error extended the inning, and he ended up giving up a run because of it.
Okay.
And then we ended up losing that game.
I rescind my statement.
So, yeah, I mean, Trey Turner, you look at his numbers, it was like, okay, yeah, he hit 333 or whatever. He had 2 home runs, but they were both solo home runs. But those were kind of meaningless. I mean, one of them was off Mike Clevenger, and the Dodgers were going to win.
Meaningless, dude. Come on.
In big picture versus a lot of the big critical opportunities, those were some of the lowest leverage spots. Like a first inning home run, give me a break. He was up there numerous times. Dodgers needed that run to get the lead or tie it.
Or extend the lead.
Or yeah, you can extend the lead. But game 2, he had the air, but he also had that opportunity with Mookie Betts on third base, less than 2 outs, and he choked. So still didn't do enough for me in the playoffs. And I think the Dodgers can find a man to replace him internally. Maybe it's Gavin Lux, or they go externally. There's plenty of options.
Here's what I think. Here's the thing with Trey Turner. All season, and I'll say this because I've switched my opinion on him. Because all season I was saying let's extend Trey. He's been great, great regular season bat, unbelievable athleticism, got a lot of speed. Although that kind of took a downturn this year in terms of stolen bases. But what I've seen the past 2 seasons in the postseason, I'm out. I'm out. Historically, Trey Turner has been a bad postseason bat. In 43 games, he is hitting 238. He's got a 279 on base percentage, a 614 OPS. He only has 3 home runs and 8 RBIs. It really just, I don't know what happens, but that's a big enough sample size to me to look and say, you know what? He just isn't that guy, and we needed him to be. And as much as I loved during the regular season, Mookie, Trey, and Freddie, that was a great big 3. And I loved seeing that together. I wish that would have carried the Dodgers in the postseason like we kind of expected it to, but it didn't. The only guy that really showed up when it counted was Freddie Freeman. So for me, Trey Turner with the bat, with the glove, and these are not like, tough plays in the hole or like, a hot shot right to him or like a bad bounce or whatever. Like, these were routine plays. These are plays a shortstop needs to make every single time. And especially in the postseason, it can change the game. It can lose you a game. So to me, that I just didn't see that urgency, and I didn't see him step up when the moment called for it. I don't want that on my team.
I would like to see him back. Like I said, I vehemently disagree with that. There's, the postseason stat narrative. There's very few, and there are some select guys who are postseason studs. No matter what, they're going to come through in the postseason. For the rest of them, I think it's just a complete crapshoot. I think it doesn't really dictate if they're good or bad in 20 games, in 40 at bats. I don't think that's a fair sample size. And I don't necessarily think that players should be judged on their postseason stats.
Why not? How else are you going to judge them? You're going to judge them just on the regular season? That's it.
I mean, primarily, yes.
But that's the only way we can evaluate a player.
You can evaluate him in the postseason, but that doesn't mean that's not going to dictate his future postseasons. Whereas his regular season stats are probably going to dictate his future regular season stats. But in the postseason, you can't really hold that narrative true. It's a complete crapshoot when you get to the postseason.
To me, I look at it this way. Trey Turner, you don't need him to win the division. You don't need him to make the playoffs. Other than that, what are you using him for? If he was if he was Dansby Swanson with the glove, I would have been like, great. He's a solid citizen at shortstop.
I think the defense thing is getting blown out of proportion. I really do. He did not have a phenomenal year with the glove.
Come on, dude.
I don't think he's a bad defender. I really don't.
If Corey Seager did what Trey Turner did in this postseason, what would you be saying right now?
I mean, Corey Seager was a legit bad defender. Like
Trey Turner is legit bad. Yes, he is.
No.
First of all,
they're both not good.
I really don't think so.
First of all,
oh my God, dude.
First of all, Trey Turner was awful at second base last season, but I was going to give him a pass because it wasn't his everyday position. So I gave him a clean slate. And at shortstop, he had 16 errors. He had another 2 or 3 in the postseason. His outs above average and his defensive run saves were in the negatives. Corey Seager, on the other hand, he had like an 84 out of 100 outs above replacement, but that doesn't even matter.
I acknowledge that this season was bad for him.
And I'm going to give you, what if I give you like, okay, let's not judge him on his stats in the postseason. What if I judge him on his character and his lack of urgency? Because I didn't see any urgency coming from him one bit.
I didn't see any urgency from anybody on the Dodgers. Not one player. Not one.
Okay, but that Trey Turner is a free agent. He's not under contract. So what's the argument to bring him back?
He was arguably your best offensive player in the regular season.
Well, he wasn't in the postseason. He didn't show urgency. I didn't see him try to fire up his teammates. He looked like this was just a regular spring training or April game. Like, he doesn't look excited to be in the October race.
That's unfair to just say that about Trey.
No, you're right. You're right. It is most of the team is that way. But if you're evaluating a player and what he means to your organization and your franchise, which the ultimate goal of this franchise is to win World Series, and that's it. Are you gonna cough up $300 million or close to that to bring that player back?
I mean,
that's what they.
I agree. That's what they have to decide, and I don't think they need him. I'm making that clear.
That is my point. That was my whole point. They don't need him. They don't need him to make the playoffs. They need him to put them in the World Series. That's what they need him for.
Well, he's only had 2 chances to do that. Okay. So if you have him on your team, there's no saying that he won't single-handedly carry you to a World Series.
Don't need him to single-handedly and need him to produce. We need him to produce something.
Well, he can't produce for you if you don't sign him. So you're never going to find out if you don't see him, if you don't sign him.
These last 2 postseasons were some of the best Dodgers opportunities to get back into the World Series. I mean, Padres and then the Phillies, and you can't even get past that. Come on. It's only going to get harder probably. So bye, Trey. Enjoy Miami.
He's not going to the Marlins.
Oh my God, that would be such a bad move for him career-wise.
He doesn't care. They just want the money. Good question from Richard Aller too. Should the Dodgers consider bringing back Jock Peterson?
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely. Bring back Jock. I don't care what he looks like. Bring him back. That dude can hit. He can hit homers. That's what, like lightning in a bottle. That's what we needed. That's what we thought we were getting with Joey Gallo. Like
no, that's what you thought you were getting with Joey Gallo. I did not think that.
The Dodgers thought they were getting that with him.
Well, I just want it on record that I never thought that.
Well, okay. But my point is that was what the role was for him. And we know Jock Peterson can do that. And we've seen him. I know you don't like postseason stats, but you have touted Peterson's ability to hit in the postseason before. So that does matter. And he does rise to the moment. And he's got that energy that we need.
And look, when I make my argument for the postseason stat thing, I'm not completely negating people who have hit in the postseason. I'm just saying that whole script of someone being bad or good in the postseason can be flipped in one series. I mean, we saw it with AJ Pollock from 2020 to 2021. Okay,
yeah,
so
you're right.
It's a small sample size.
You're right.
I don't think it's the end all be all, but with guys like a Derek Jeter or, a lighter version, obviously not the same level, Jock Peterson, who's done it in pretty much every single postseason he's been in.
Well,
that does matter.
What's the difference between AJ Pollock and Jock Peterson versus a Trey Turner, where AJ Pollock and Jock Peterson, you're not counting on them to be the guy. If they are the guy, that's great.
I'm with you on that.
Trey Turner, you needed him to be the guy.
I'm with you on that.
Okay. I feel like we have everything. One other question from 2Roscoe94. Are the Dodgers going to trust Gavin Lux's arm at shortstop? Well, we'll have to wait on that one. He's graded out to not have a good arm at all. It's kind of weak, but I mean, he's got the speed and the range. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting offseason. I think the Dodgers are going to explore a number of avenues among the shortstop position. I wouldn't stress too much about that. I think we've already hit the points that pitching, outfield, and just team overall depth are where they're going to focus. No more of this stars, because clearly it's not working. They had a number of MVPs and all-stars in 2021 and 2022. Wasn't good enough. So I think that covers all the fan questions. Is there anything you guys want to add real quick before we move on to the other subject?
How do we feel about, because I know, yes, we could trust Gavin Lux at shortstop. That's definitely a possibility that they're going to weigh. But if we were going to go the route of signing a free agent shortstop, who would you guys go with?
I mean, the best name out there is Carlos Correa, but if he wants $300 million, I'm not going to do that either.
He's not getting.
He's not getting 300. He to me, it is Carlos Correa. That, I mean,
isn't his agent Boris?
Yeah.
But let's put that aside for a second. Like, if you're going for a player, he's got 18 postseason home runs. He's got an 849 OPS in the postseason. He rises to the occasion. He's got that will to win. He's got an attitude. He's an asshole. He's a major asshole, and I love that. We're far removed from the whole cheating scandal. Whatever, that sucked. I think the Dodgers still should have won that series regardless. But anyway, we're past that now, and Carlos Correa is a game changer for your team and when you need him the most. The only drawback, I think, for him is that he has had struggles staying on the field and staying healthy. So there is that. But in terms of what's out there, it goes Carlos Correa, Dansby Swanson, and then Xander Bogaerts for me.
If they don't bring Turner back, Correa would be my number one choice for sure. I think the attitude would bring a new vibe in the clubhouse, and there's going to be fans and listeners and probably even a couple Dodgers who would be against it. But clearly something needs to change. This is at the end of the day a business, and these past 2 years, the Dodgers have looked stale, boring, deflated, and haven't executed in the playoffs. And that guy is someone who's going to be able to get up for these games, bring some attitude, bring some passion. So if you're looking at, $170 million for him, I think that's the no-brainer.
I wish it was that cheap. It's going to be at least $200.
Well, he didn't get shit last offseason, and every team had a chance to sign.
Yeah, but he declined, I think, close to $300 million and got greedy. So
I'm just saying, I wouldn't bank on him getting 300.
And also,
I think 200 is fair.
He did not have a great season.
No, he did not.
He had an okay season. He had 22 homers, 64 RBIs, and an 834 OPS. That's good, but it's not, $300 million worth.
Yeah.
And to me, the only reason why I would go with Dansby Swanson in that mix is because
I'm out on him.
He's had 2 really good seasons back to back offensively, but defensively, he is a stud. And that to me speaks volumes. Defense and pitching wins championships, as you've seen. You need a little bit of offense too. But if you want to go away from the Dodgers always signing stars, he's sort of that kind of second tier star. That's not, you're not counting on him to drive in all the runs, but boy, to have a solid guy at shortstop like that is key, I think.
The best defensive shortstop. He's a monster. I think he had a 20 outs above average or something. He's insane. Like nothing gets by him. I think I was reading his market value is about 140, 170 million. I'd be comfortable with that. Right-handed bat, can hit lefties. I don't know if he'll have the same power production, but as long as the glove's there, I'm good.
You guys are over. You're going to pay $150 million for a plus average defender at shortstop if the offense isn't there. Why don't you just sign Jose Iglesias for $5 million?
Well,
because Dansby Swanson does have a bat. It's not like he doesn't have a bat.
Jose Iglesias hit 300 this year.
Who cares?
What team did he play for?
Doesn't matter. He hit 300.
No, what team did he play for?
Doesn't matter. Why does that matter?
You won't say. Okay, he played for the Colorado Rockies.
It doesn't matter.
Big up. That's a big boost right there. It absolutely does matter.
Dansby Swanson
proved that narrative wrong.
Dansby Swanson. Dansby Swanson.
Superstar.
Dansby Swanson's a champion. He's a dog. He's a great defender. He's got a good stick.
Is he a dog? Is he?
Yes.
Why?
What do you mean? Why?
Why is he a dog?
Have you watched him play?
Yeah. I've never seen dog.
Got that dog in him.
Whatever, bro. He's a winner.
What is the Vanderbilt's mascot? Is it
Commodores?
It's like a bird.
It's Commodores.
Okay.
It's not a bird.
Not a
roommates
dog.
with Walker Buehler, former teammates with Freddie Freeman. He'll fit right in.
Oh God. Just another of the same type of player we keep signing. Just another one. The same guy that we have in the clubhouse. Like we need to mix it up.
I agree. That's why my first choice would be Carlos Correa.
Me too. I couldn't imagine saying that a few years ago.
I know it's crazy, but that's where we are.
Almost the entire 2017 team is gone at this point, so it's not going to even matter internally. Real quick, then we'll do the other segment from where'd it go?
Also, Tim Anderson is an option.
Yeah,
I don't want him.
I don't either. But he's an option.
Before we go to the next thing, do you want to start a new meeting? Because
this will be real quick if I can just find the freaking question. But if it cuts out, then yeah, we'll do a new meeting. I'm on the wrong page. That's why. Scott_Veach. What will it take for the Dodgers to retire the number 34? To be honest, I wasn't alive when Fernando pitched, so I missed the entire Fernando mania. He's not a Hall of Fame player, but I know that his impact on the Los Angeles culture was big time. So I don't really have an opinion on retiring 34. I don't know if any of you feel more strongly about that.
Well, yeah, it's kind of honorary that it's been retired. No one's worn it.
Yeah.
But I would do it 100%.
Yeah, I just do it. Like I understand they have the rule of like you got to be in the Hall of Fame, but like I think they should make an exception for him.
They didn't let Manny Ramirez have it, so there you go.
Yeah.
Last question, almost missed it, coming from Buff Raven 401. Give me one dark horse candidate that you would like to see the Dodgers trade for.
Oh,
guess I'll go first since I have one guy at least. If he's a buy low candidate, I would like to see the Dodgers take a swing at either Eloy Jimenez or Luis Robert, but preferably I think Jimenez would have a lower value. In 2021, he only played 55 games. 2022, he only played 84 games. He's had some injury issues, but he's a career 276 hitter, 327 on base, but a lot of raw power, 831 OPS. I think he's the perfect DH left field combo guy, and he's a right-handed bat that crushes lefties. So maybe the Dodgers call up the White Sox again and actually do a trade that makes sense this time.
Yeah, I like those two. I like those two picks, although both of them are injury prone. So that's something, but they're both great talents if they can stay healthy. I saw another name kind of floating around there that kind of intrigued me. If it's right, is Willy Adames. I like him. I think he's proven the past couple seasons with the Brewers that he's got a pretty potent bat as well as he's a great defender. So if the Dodgers don't end up signing a big time free agent shortstop, that would be great. And it also kind of tells you how they feel about Gavin Lux and giving him the keys to shortstop. But to be honest, I'd prefer him to just stay at second base. I mean, he's fine there. And I think that there are better options, certainly defensively at shortstop, that they can get.
So I'm not saying I necessarily want this to happen, but I could see them trading for like a under the radar outfielder, like a Max Kepler from Minnesota, or exciting outfielder like Ramon Laureano from Oakland, who was finished. I think he's finished serving his steroid suspension.
He got
Yeah,
traded.
he played.
Did he? Is he back?
I thought
Yeah.
Ramon Laureano's on. Oh, I guess he's
He's still on the
I
A's.
Yeah, I don't think they traded him.
Okay.
No,
I don't know if
he came back and played.
Yeah, I could see something like that. But super dark horse, which you can't rule out because they're going to be changing ownerships, is Shohei Ohtani.
That would not be a dark horse. That would probably be the biggest explosion ever.
Well, I'm saying dark horse because I don't think anybody thinks he's going to be traded right now.
I don't know what rumors you've been reading. He's definitely one of the highest touted trade chips out there.
I just like, if you're an owner, like, why would you trade that guy? Like a new owner, like you're going to buy the team and trade like that
because
guy?
he said he's leaving.
Well, you try to mend things first.
There was even an article going to the extent that he might just go to Japan altogether because the Angels are just acidine and don't know what they're doing.
What does Chief Shohei Ohtani correspondent Ben Verlander have to say on it?
Ohtani whisperer.
Yeah. Small
All right, we don't need
Japanese
to-
children crying.
We don't need to talk about him again. All right, Dodgers grades time. So let's start with the big three: Mookie Betts, Trey Turner, Freddie Freeman. Who wants to go first?
I'll go. We doing all three at once?
Yeah.
All right, Freddie Freeman, A+. Couldn't ask for anything better. It's rare to get a signing like that to instantly pay dividends. It did. Trey Turner, I'm giving an A. I think he had a phenomenal season. Unfortunate postseason, but overall phenomenal season. And Mookie Betts, I'm going to give a B. I think he had a kind of a rough stretch for a while. I think he had 2 hot months, and the rest was kind of iffy. But I mean, he did hit 35 home runs. Brutal in the postseason, so I expect more because of what I believe in him to be one of the best players in baseball.
Yeah, for me, Freddie Freeman's an A+ all around. You couldn't ask for anything more, not only with the bat, but with the glove too. He was just so solid over there, and came through when it counted most. And he got that big hit in the final playoff game, which should have pushed it to a game 5. Trey Turner, I would give him an A-. Just the defense and also just the speed kind of declined there a little bit, but honestly, offensively, he was a beast, and had a ton of hits, and he was a huge reason why the Dodgers were the best team in baseball during the regular season. Mookie Betts, yeah, B+, A-. I kind of agree with David. Like it just wasn't overall the season that you'd want from a guy that you're paying that much money for.
Yeah.
And then once again, in the playoffs, he had a good NLDS in 2021, but outside of that, over the past 2 years, it's not really been that impressive.
Freddie Freeman, I gave an A+. Dude hit 341 on the road. He hit 391 with 1,000 OPS with runners in scoring position. Just came through every given time. You all tripping. I gave Mookie Betts an A-. Finished with an 873 OPS, a 6.6.
I said B+, A-.
Yeah, but you said he didn't really have the season you would want given you paid him. He didn't have the postseason you wanted, but his regular season was exceptional. He had a
2 months.
6.6 WAR. He finished with a 272 batting average. It looks like, 117 runs scored, 144 weighted run created. I'll take that. Trey Turner, I gave a B+. 16 errors, 27 steals was a career low in a full season. 809 OPS, not that great in the postseason. If he had a better defensive resume, he'd be an A player, but the defense cost us. The next tier would be Will Smith, Max Muncy, and Justin Turner.
All right, Will Smith. I'd give Will Smith an A. I think that he solidified himself as the surefire number 4 hitter in the lineup. For a couple of stretches there, the Dodgers did have a big 4. So I was impressed with also his ability to handle the pitching staff. Clayton Kershaw obviously trusted him a lot more this season than in seasons past because he caught Kershaw as opposed to just having Austin Barnes do it. I thought his pitch framing was a lot better. But yeah, the postseason, he just kind of disappeared. Max Muncy, I would also give an A. Just the bounce back season that he had after getting injured at the end of 2021. I felt that, you know, I cut him a lot of slack during the first part of the season. And then he actually turned it around, and he didn't do too terrible in the postseason. He had a couple of good at bats, although that one at bat in Game 4 really was brutal when he struck out with second and third and one out. Justin Turner, it pains me, but it's a kind of a cross between a C and a B. He did turn it around in the second half, but that was pretty much it. The first half was just brutal, and the postseason was just awful too.
Will Smith, I'm going to give an A-. I think he had a phenomenal season. Was Muncy the second one?
Yeah.
Muncy, I kind of want to do like first half, second half grades. First half is an F and second half is an A+. I think we saw the resurgence of Max Muncy after that horrid first half. So I'll split the difference. I'll give him a B. And I'm going to give Justin Turner a B as well, because if you look at his overall stats from the regular season, he had 278 with 81 RBIs and 13 home runs. So he was fine. He was solid in the regular season, but as we saw in the postseason, 2 postseasons in a row, he just can't catch up to that fastball anymore. And that's what you see in the playoffs. You see pitchers turning it up a notch. So a B out of respect.
Gave Will Smith a B+. Not a good postseason hitter. Continues to struggle. 204 lifetime average, 288 on base, 654 OPS. Defensively, he was great this season. He had a 7 defensive runs saved, 260 hitter, 24 home runs, 87 RBIs. I do not want to see him be the cleanup hitter, though, next season for the Dodgers, because that was a train wreck in the postseason. Max Muncy, I gave him a C, kind of on the same logic as David. Hit 164 in the first half, but then had a 791 OPS in the second half, finished with 21 home runs. So I averaged that one out. And then Justin Turner, I gave him a C as well. Almost made me look like a fool with his second half resurgence, but I was saying all along, like, I don't trust his age and I don't trust him to keep up with fastballs and to come through in the postseason. And he kind of pulled a Russell Westbrook on us, padding his stats, but when it mattered most, he was a colossal train wreck. So he had
the middle fastballs that he missed, just awful.
Yeah. So he had a 2.4 WAR, which is actually surprising given how bad he started with, but that was his worst as a Dodger. The next tier will go with Gavin Lux, Cody Bellinger, Trace Thompson, and I think that'll conclude the position players.
Go ahead, David.
Lux, I'm going to give an A-. I really liked what I saw from him for the first 5 or 6 months of the season. Like we've talked about, aside from the big 3, the first 3 months of the season, he was the only one producing from that 9-hole. He was getting on base. I think we saw him prove himself that he belongs in Major League Baseball, and he belongs in a starting role. So I'm going to give him an A-. Unfortunate injury for him, kind of tailed him off towards the end there. Cody Bellinger, I'm just going to do a C-. It could be worse, honestly. I didn't see pretty much anything from him all year. He had couple, maybe 2-week stretch there where we thought he was coming back, and just
he had like an NL Player of the Week once.
Yeah, he had a week or 2 in there where he looked back but never really came back. And then Trace Thompson, I'll give a B, solid.
I skipped Chris Taylor. You can add him too.
Chris Taylor, I'm giving an F. That was the worst season I've seen from Chris Taylor. I don't think he did anything of note this season, and yes, he was hurt. But coming off that contract, if he hadn't just signed that contract, I would give him a C. But because of the contract, I'm gonna give him an F.
Gavin Lux, I'm gonna give a B+, because of what David described about how he carried that offense in the first half, coming out of the 9-hole when no one else in the middle of that order was hitting. So I respect him for that. I'd like him to stay a little healthier. I mean, Jesus, he needs to stay on the field, because he's an impact bat. He's electric with his ability to come through in clutch situations, but also his speed is elite. I would like to see a little bit cleaned up on the defensive end too. So that's why he gets a B+ for me. I'm giving Trace Thompson an A. And the reason is because we expected literally nothing from him. Coming back to the Dodgers, I was kind of confused as to why we were even discussing him, bringing him back. But cash considerations, it was one of these, Freeman diamond in the rough again. And he was electric. He didn't just hit well. He came through in big spots, a lot of 3-run home runs in clutch spots for the Dodgers. So I give him an A because nobody expected anything out of him. Chris Taylor, it's an F for me. It was the strikeouts. I mean, we know that he strikes out a lot, but God, it was brutal. It was almost an automatic out. And I think slightly above him was Cody Bellinger, nearly an automatic out too.
Yeah.
But I'm giving Cody Bellinger like a D, because, dude, come on, it's enough already. I don't know. Obviously, we can't at this point expect him to get back to that 2019 first half where he absolutely owned. But something between atrocious and that I would have taken.
I would have taken 2018 Cody Bellinger at this point.
Same, or even 2017. Rookie of the year.
That's pushing it. Don't push
right, but anything in the middle of atrocious and MVP, I would have taken, and we didn't quite get to the middle on there. And yeah, it's just, but his defense is great. So I mean, there's that. But yeah, those are my grades for them.
I knew Gavin Lux was going to be your guys' teacher's pet. I gave him a B-. He did have a phenomenal first half.
I gave him a B+. That's not that much different.
That's almost an A. But I'm gonna let me tell you, contrary to what Jake's fake news is, he was not clutch this season. He only hit 241 with runners in scoring position, had a 657 OPS. In the second half, he hit 248, 680 OPS. But in that first half, he was great. He hit 300. He was carrying that 9-hole, but the defense was kind of hit or miss, not as bad as it might have seemed, but there were some definitely routine plays that he blew. Had that big walk-off hit that was nice in that game where he had the air that cost them the lead, but then walked it off against the Phillies. So B-. I'm still not impressed because he was touted to be such a power hitter, like a 70 grade, and he had 6 home runs this season. Like 6 home runs. Juan Pierre can almost match that. Cody Bellinger gave him a D. Chris Taylor gave him a D. Trace Thompson gave him a B. And honorable mention to Austin Barnes, A. Dude was just solid.
Austin Barnes is what he is.
Austin Barnes was like a 667 hitter in the postseason. Pitching wise, the starting rotation, we got Tyler Anderson, Andrew Heaney, Clayton Kershaw, Julio Urias, and Tony Gonsolin. I'm excluding Dustin May because he was a non-factor this season.
Well, for Kershaw, Urias, and Anderson, all A's. Kershaw, yeah, but like I cut him some slack for his age, but when he was on the mound, nobody could touch him. So I give all those guys A's. Andrew Heaney, B+. He was good when he was on the mound, but he can't stay healthy for whatever reason. It is just maddening. But he balled out in the postseason in that one outing he had. That was great. I mean, he gave up his token solo home run, but other than that, he was great and gave the Dodgers a chance to win. They lost 2-1 in that freaking game. So there's that. So I'll give him a B+. And then Tony Gonsolin, I'm also going to give a B+ ish. I thought that his first half was great. Obviously he was an all-star. He really blew it on the big stage though. Not in the all-star game and also in the postseason. Yeah. Just can't stay healthy. I don't know what it is. But he's a good pitcher, but he's just not a big time. He's not a big game pitcher.
Yeah. Tyler Anderson and Julio Urias, I'm giving A+. You can't ask for anything more than that. Kershaw, I'm going to give an A, strictly because he only started 22 games. Tony Gonsolin, I'm going to give a B+, strictly for his first half. I mean, he was electric in the first half and then kind of just tailed off and got hurt and couldn't really do anything in the postseason. Andrew Heaney, I'm going to give a B-. Couldn't really stay on the field, gave up too many home runs. Solid.
Gonsolin and Heaney were B+ for me. Kershaw, A-. Tyler Anderson, A+. I mean, they paid him $8.5 million, and he was like a top 5 pitcher statistically in the National League. And Julio Urias, I gave an A. Just going to run it with that. The only knock on Urias is he just can't really pitch deep. It was like 5 innings every time out. I know part of that was Dave Roberts controlling him, but if you want to be the ace and the Cy Young winner, you got to be like Sandy Alcantara and do the 7-8 inning outings from every now and then.
He did.
Not often. Bullpen, I don't really. This is kind of a free.
You want to just give an overall grade for the bullpen?
So I wanted to exclude Craig Kimbrell. I think he's the only F I'm handing out. It was one of the worst Dodgers relievers I'd seen in a long time.
It was brutal.
It wasn't that bad, dude.
Credit.
It was, dude.
So was not that bad.
It
was because the Dodgers are running up the score on everyone. So
he
the
blew 5 saves.
He saved 5 saves.
He blew 5 saves.
He had 6 losses. So I'm giving credit to Craig Kimbrell because if the Dodgers didn't have those 6 losses because of him.
He had 7.
Okay. Doesn't matter. The point is we didn't have those 6 or 7 losses. The Dodgers would have been 117, 118 win team. They would have had the best record ever, and they would have lost in the first round. That would have been the most embarrassing thing that we'd have to live with for the rest of our lives. So at least 111, they're going to forget about that in a year or two. I don't want to be the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, I would
the bullpen. A for everyone else.
Oh yeah, A+ for the bullpen. Given the injuries to Trinan, Daniel Hudson died. They didn't have Tommy Kahnle for a full season. Craig Kimbrell was just a train wreck every time out.
Not every time out.
Dude, come on. you can't.
Did he have like 3 clean innings the entire
season?
Dude,
it was even the saves that he got were hard to watch. So to me, A+ for that bullpen. The 2 years in a row, the Dodgers have wasted an elite bullpen, which kind of bothers me. And again, second year in a row, they didn't trust Dave Roberts did not trust his horses, and the horses that got him there and that could have gotten them to a game 5 in the NLDS. So I give the bullpen an A+. They were just awesome all season.
Yeah, I agree. Only thing I got to say is whatever grade is above A+, you got to give to Evan Phillips and Yency Almonte.
100%. Especially Evan Phillips. I think Evan Phillips is above Yency Almonte because Almonte was hurt.
And volume.
Almonte blew the save.
Well, in the playoffs, sure. But I mean that, he came in with traffic. So
you can't.
Well, as I
honestly, you can't put anyone above Evan Phillips. That guy was every time out. I don't remember one bad outing he had.
I'm so sad. I have 3 of the best Evan Phillips poems just in my draft that I didn't get to use.
Could have, dude, if Dave Roberts had put him in instead of Almonte in that situation, we may have been able to use one of those.
It would have been the most electric poetry of all time.
I would have given an Oscar-winning performance.
I mean, I guess I'll just save them for next year. They're too good to not use.
Yeah.
So these are kind of like my final thoughts, and then you guys can share whatever else you wanted to cover real quick. So I talked about they need an outfielders, they need starting pitching. The one thing I actually did forget to mention is the Dodgers need to sign or trade for a closer. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, you can't pay all that money for relievers. They're too volatile. Well, what I've come to accept is that if you're going to have a Dave Roberts team, he needs to have a closer he can trust because he's incapable of going on long postseason runs unless he has a closer. I saw that with Kenley Jansen in 2019. He tried to make Kershaw their closer, basically. I saw that with Julio Urias, I saw that with Evan Phillips. He tried to make him the closer. That's why he didn't pitch when they needed him most in that 7th inning of game 5.
That was literally the only game he did that. At no other point during the season was Evan Phillips the closer.
And it's frustrating because he said
in the most important game of the season, he decides, he's the closer now.
And it's frustrating because it was scripted. So they were going to go with Phillips no matter what in the 9th, apparently. So my rationale here is we saw them trade for Kimbrell last second. Clearly there's a pattern here where Dave feels like he needs to have that established 9th inning guy. So Edwin Diaz is on the market. I don't know exactly what his price is yet, but I imagine it's probably somewhere between 16 to 20 million annually. Sign me up, because what's going to happen here is if the Dodgers don't have a closer they trust, they're going to go closer by committee, and by default, it's probably going to be Evan Phillips is now your closer. So you're going to lose your fireman because he's going to be always using him in the 9th inning. So I'd rather have Evan Phillips available for all high leverage situations as opposed to the ninth. So if you have Diaz, who's pretty locked down as is, just pay the man, make it easier on our lives. Making Dave Roberts have less decisions is beneficial for the Dodgers. So if you know that the ninth inning is covered, just do it.
It kind of sucks, but I agree with you in the sense that they really have to build the team to for Dave Roberts, for his shortcomings. And that's a really weird position to be in. I mean, wouldn't you want someone that it doesn't matter if you give them a good enough roster, they will figure it out and be able to manage them correctly? I mean, that is just so off-putting, but I do agree with you on that. I think that my final thoughts are this. I don't think that the Dodgers need to do a complete overhaul of this roster. I don't think that. I never thought that. This team is good enough to win. It was good enough to win this year. It's good enough to win next year. They're going to be back in the playoffs. And I'm hoping that they add some role players, add some pieces there, add some fire and some flair to this roster that just desperately needs some fresh new blood, some hungry blood in there, that by the time they get to the postseason, they can turn it on. Because what we've seen far too often is this sort of sleepwalk, not business as usual, even with their backs against the wall, there's no fire. I mean, even in 2020, we saw that fire when they were down 3-1. They were like, we're not losing this goddamn series. And there just was none of that the past two seasons. So I'm hoping that this loss to the Padres in the first round of the playoffs after winning 111 games will piss these players off to the point where once they get to the postseason, it won't be the same as last year. That's what I'm hoping for. And I think that the Dodgers obviously have the framework to make another run. So I'm not too worried about this offseason, but I do think that they need to add some key pieces that will kind of shake things up a little bit.
My final thoughts are, I'm not too concerned about what the Dodgers add at all. I want to see them play their prospects. Get Bobby Miller up here. Get Gavin Stone up here. Get James Outman up here. Give Vargas the chance to win the third base job. Get Michael Busch up here. Let these guys play. Give them a chance. Get some fresh blood in there. Give them all a clean slate to make the team and inject some life into this formerly lifeless in the postseason team.
Because that's a hungry bunch right there too.
Yeah, I want to see these guys who are not on their first contract yet. They're on arbitration. I want to see these guys who are fighting to earn a place in the league, to get that first big contract, bring the fire, because they will. You know, the Dodgers this past season, they didn't have any of those guys. Pretty much everybody on the team outside of Will Smith, Gavin Lux, maybe one or two others in the bullpen, they already got paid. Everybody on the Dodgers had already gotten paid. You know, you can say Trey Turner hadn't yet, but his arbitration salary was what, $20 million a year? So yeah, I want to see these youth movement get a chance to play. What's the point of having one of the best farms in baseball if you're not going to use them? Release the Kraken, empty the clip. It's time to unload these guys.
Let the kids play.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Incline Dodgers podcast. Follow us on Twitter at the Incline Pod. Subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. And please give us a 5-star rating on the Apple Podcast machine. We need your support and love. Everyone have a great and happy Halloween. That is coming up in a few days.
Worst holiday.
It's one of the best holidays. I don't
Halloween
know what you're talking
sucks ass.
Hater. Just a hater over here.
Hate Halloween, dude.
Well, on that note, have a great week, everyone. Go Dodgers.